All right, let's dive right into one of the biggest stories in all of Greek mythology. We're talking about a cosmic war that literally shaped the universe as we know it. This is the Titanomachy. It's a wild story of God versus God, children against their own father, and the brutal, bloody birth of a whole new world order. So we all know Zeus, right? King of the gods, lightning bolts, ruler of Mount Olympus, the whole deal. But have you ever really stopped and thought about it? Who was in charge before him? Who was running the show in the age before the Olympians we all know and love? Well, that's exactly the question we're going to answer. And the answer? The Titans. These guys were the original divine rulers, the OG gods, you could say. They were the children of Gaia, the earth, and Uranus, the sky. And they reigned over what the myths call a golden age, a time of raw, primordial power, long before our more familiar gods ever came into the picture. So here they are, the original 12. You've got gods of the ocean, of light, of memory, a real powerhouse lineup. But the one you really need to keep your eye on is their leader, Cronus. See, he wasn't born the king. He took power by violently overthrowing his own father, Uranus. And in doing that, he started a really nasty family tradition, a cycle of rebellion that would come back to haunt him in a big way. This right here, this single prophecy absolutely consumed Kronos. It drove him completely mad with paranoia. Just imagine hearing that. Your own child is destined to do to you the exact same thing you did to your dad. That fear twisted his entire reign and pushed him to do something truly monstrous. To try and cheat fate, Cronus did the unthinkable. As his wife, Rhea, gave birth to their children, he took each baby and swallowed them whole. He literally imprisoned them inside his own body. In his terrified mind, it was the only way to keep his throne safe. But, as you can probably guess, fate isn't that easy to outsmart. And here's the twist. Cronus was tricked. His wife, Rhea, desperate to save just one of her children, hid her last-born son away in a secret cave. She handed Cronus a rock wrapped in a blanket instead, and he swallowed it without a second thought. That hidden child grew up strong and powerful, and his name was Zeus. So, once Zeus was old enough, he learned the whole horrifying story about his father and his imprisoned siblings. He was furious. And right then and there, he made a vow. He was going to free his brothers and sisters and bring his father's reign of terror to an end. For Zeus, this wasn't just about power. This was about justice. Now, Zeus didn't just charge in, all lightning and thunder. No, he was smart. He came up with this brilliant, sneaky plan with a little help from his grandmother, Gaia. First, he disguised himself as a servant and got a job in Cronus's court. Then, he served his father a special, let's call it a cocktail. The effect was instantaneous and, well, pretty violent. One after another, Cronus was forced to vomit up his children. And here's the craziest part. They didn't come out as helpless babies. Nope. They emerged as fully grown, powerful gods. You had Hestia, Demeter, Hera, Hades, and Poseidon. Finally free, they stood together with their little brother Zeus, and they were ready for a fight. And just like that, the battle lines were drawn. On one side, you had the new gods, the Olympians, led by their rescuer, Zeus. On the other, Cronus and his Titan allies. The prophecy was finally coming true, and the biggest war the cosmos had ever witnessed was about to kick off. This incredible conflict actually has a formal name, the Titanomachy. It's a cool word that comes from ancient Greek. Titan is for, well, the Titans, and machi means battle. So it's literally the War of the Titans. So let's look at the two sides. You've got the old guard, the Titans. They're powerful, they're proud, they're the established rulers, led by their paranoid king, Kronos. And then you have the new generation, Zeus and the Olympians. They're young, they're hungry, and they're fighting for a totally new era. And get this wasn't some quick little battle. This cosmic civil war raged for 10 years. A full decade of nonstop divine warfare that shook the heavens and the earth. I mean, the scale is just mind-boggling. And you have to try and imagine what this clash actually looked like. This was the universe basically tearing itself apart. Mountains were ripped out of the ground and thrown like pebbles. The oceans boiled. The sky itself was on fire with the raw, ancient power of the Titans slamming against the fresh, explosive energy of the Olympians.
The Olympians also brought some seriously cool weapons to the fight. Zeus, of course, had his incredible thunderbolts lighting up the whole battlefield. Hades had a helmet that made him invisible, perfect for sneaking around and causing chaos. And Poseidon had his trident, which he used to create massive earthquakes and tsunamis.
So, with all this power and some really smart strategy, the tide of the war finally began to turn. The long reign of the Titans was coming to a very messy and very definite end. And out of all this chaos and destruction, a brand new world order was about to be born. At long last, it was over. Zeus and the Olympians were victorious. Cronus and the Titans who sided with him were completely and utterly defeated. And they weren't just sent to their rooms, they were thrown down into Tartarus, the deepest, darkest pit in the underworld, basically a maximum security prison for the greatest enemies of the gods. And the punishments were meant to last forever. Most of the Titans were locked away in Tartarus for good. But the great Titan general, Atlas, he got a special kind of punishment. He was sentenced to stand at the edge of the world and hold the entire sky on his shoulders for all of eternity. So, with the Titans defeated and locked away, the war was officially done. A new age dawned. Zeus and his siblings climbed to the top of Mount Olympus and became the new, unquestioned rulers of the entire cosmos. The cycle was finally complete. The son had overthrown the father, just as the prophecy foretold. And so, the reign of Zeus began. The war was over. But was the fighting really finished? You have to remember, those defeated Titans were the children of Gaia, Mother Earth herself. And well, a mother doesn't tend to be very happy when she sees her kids thrown into a dark pit for eternity. Her grief and her rage would soon give rise to a new, even scarier threat. But that's a story for another time.